So my kids will say to me that it's real evident to them when I'm upset because they see it all in my face. They hear it after the fact, but they can always see it in my face. And I think one of the things too that's really true of us is that, when we're in a place where someone that's talking to us exercises authority over us, when they get mad at us, we all kind of tend to react in a very similar way. Maybe out of defense, we react in anger or frustration, or maybe we draw back because we feel like we're being criticized for something and we don't have a defense for it. We just feel like less of a person. One of the most important things to recognize, though, is that if you are the person who has that authority, that it's very important to be careful with the way that we carry that authority, because at the end of the day, people will respond based on how we are treating them. And people get defensive because they feel like they have to be. Other people cower away because they're not sure that they're strong enough to handle it. There's a great passage in Proverbs 19. It says, "A king's rage is like the roar of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass." Proverbs 19:17 says, "Whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord. He will reward them for what they have done." I think it's important to think about in our lives, especially for me as a parent, or even as a husband, the way that I talk to my kids or my wife oftentimes will feel like a sense of encouragement to them or a sense of fear. And in this particular case, obviously, a king's rage is like the roar of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass, has a mixture of two things. Number one, the king was the one in authority. So if he brought the rage, it was because he needed to, or because, again, he didn't know how to manage his emotions. But the outflow of his emotions was that the people themselves felt terrified, felt unsure. But then when the king came with favor and encouragement, it was refreshing like dew on the grass. And remember, it's not refreshing to us because we step out on it and it's wet and we hate it, but it's refreshing to the grass. And so for many of us, it's important to remember that. Again, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they've done. What I love about this is if you go back to Proverbs 19, you find that the author of Proverbs is talking a lot about the poor, but he's talking about them in terms of them being lazy, and in terms of their attitude toward things. And in particular, not just poor people as the state of their being, but their attitude. But in this particular case, he speaks of the poor, of those that people care for and are mindful for. And I want to challenge you today to think about different ways that you can tend to the poor. Remember, poor is not necessarily about what's in their pocket, but what they feel in their heart. And if a person feels like they're worthless, how could you give to them to help them feel that they're not? And remember, in doing so, you honor the Lord. God bless you. Go in peace.